I never would have dreamed I would go through breast cancer. It wasn't in my family. It's not part of my history. I would say to my younger self, you're going to go through some pretty serious stuff. But if you lean into God and you lean into each other like never before, you'll get through it.
And it's you and me, babe, whatever comes. Knowing bigger hands are holding us, and the greatest days are ahead of us. Growing in love, learning to be a better us.
Welcome to A Better Us, and welcome to our home.
Okay, I don't know how old you were when you got married, but we were young. I was 20 and you were 21.
21, yeah. And we thought we knew it all.
Silly children.
So true. What we wouldn't give to be able to go back and talk to our newlywed selves, eh?
Funny you should mention that, because that's exactly what we're talking about in today's Just Us Girls segment. If you could go back in time to when you were first married, what would you say to your younger self?
And then to lighten the mood, author Ted Cunningham in our Loveology segment answers the question, what's the secret to laughing more with my spouse?
Good question. Our kitchen couples will weigh in on that one, and it all starts right now. Well, it's Just Us Girls time again, and once again I have my Just Us Girls sisters. I've got Danielle, Diane, Kara. It's the crew. Yeah. All right. Okay, so we don't have an expert giving us any advice this time.
We are the experts.
We are the experts because this episode, we're actually going to give advice to our younger selves. We're going to go back to that wedding day, how many ever years ago, and talk to ourselves and give ourselves our best marriage advice.
Wow.
I like that. Who wants to go first? Anybody?
We're going to start with Youngblood over there.
Okay.
She volunteered.
Yay! Let's do this. Eric and I were married August 16th, 2014. We will be celebrating our 8th anniversary. It's coming up. And what have I learned? Wow. There's so much that can happen in a short amount of time. Like 8 years, we've moved a few times, we've had 2 babies, and we've faced some major losses in our lives. And in a short amount of time, 8 years, it has flown by. And I think one of the things that I've learned the most is that building trust in your marriage is foundational. Because you face so much. And in building trust with your spouse, that also means standing up for them in many different situations. And that includes you speaking highly of your spouse to your parents, because you can create a narrative to your parents about your spouse that is very one-sided.
That's good.
And so I think it's important to always talk highly about your spouse to your parents, because you just want to build them up, and your family is so important to you, and it's so important to your spouse. You would never want to cause a drift in that relationship between your spouse and your parents or your family. And so always build them up to those people, even though they're the people you trust the most, and you might want to vent about your spouse to them. I think it's foundational for your relationship to keep that a positive narrative, because then they will keep you positive in regards to you and your spouse.
You don't want to create secondhand offense, right? Because once you've moved past and resolved whatever issue it may be with your spouse, they're still back there.
Yes.
And so,
That's a lot of wisdom for one so young.
about to say, for 8 years
You've learned that
in,
already.
kudos to you, because it takes so many people so much longer to figure that out. And the fact that you figured that out in 8 years, that's amazing.
Thanks. We face
Kudos to you.
We love each other.
Very good.
Kudos to
Okay,
you.
girls, who else wants to go next?
Well, if we're going in order, does that mean I'm on the hot seat?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hot seat time.
So May 26, 2001, which puts it, we're at what, year number 21, I guess, that we've been married. So we've learned a few things. So what have I learned? Let me pull up my list.
Pull out the list.
Okay, so what did I write? You know what? I have one here. You will be so much happier if you root for his team or are invested in whatever he loves. You know, don't fight it. Just, you're not going to change those things about your spouse. So just go with it, and eventually you will learn to love those things as well. Like, my husband's a movie buff, and there's some movies that I probably wouldn't, you know, go watch on my own, but like, okay, I'm going to have the attitude now that I'm jumping in with you. I'm going to learn to love this. And there have been some movie series that I've dove in, and now I'm a true fan. So
Even if he votes for the Maple Leafs?
there are limits.
No, I'm only kidding. I have no idea. I'm just kidding.
And then I also wrote, he needs you to be his safe place, his biggest cheerleader, and the least of his worries, more than you realize. Like, I've just learned I want to be the one that he doesn't have to, you know, my husband has enough troubles of his own. I don't want to be one of them. Like, I've just learned to relax a bit more and just have him know that I'm his safe place. And then also, one thing I really thought back to our early years, I would say to all the newlyweds out there, whoever is just starting out in marriage, that go into marriage debt-free, like not worrying about money. If you don't need a big fancy wedding. You don't, like, those things really don't last.
I agree.
But some of the mistakes that we made early on, in like the financial mistakes, they can hover over you and haunt you for years, and you just don't need that stress. I believe that financial stress in a marriage, it's one of the top reasons for divorce. And so I would throw that out there, that, you know, just not having those burdens is so much easier. And so, you know, learn that when you're young. Make sure that you do the Dave Ramsey financial piece, or however you're going to learn how to work together as a team doing finances. Okay, Diane?
Okay, well, for me, we have been married. We were married June 7, 1992, which means we've been married for 30 years.
30 years.
Wow.
30 years, yes. So I've learned a lot. I've got a list to share.
Okay.
The advice I would give to my newlywed self would be to not lose my authentic self.
Okay.
Right?
Good.
To not lose my authentic self. Don't be afraid to speak my truth.
Okay.
In every circumstance, remember to speak my truth, and to know my own deficiencies. Right?
Self-aware.
Yes, absolutely. The other advice would be make sure that I loved myself enough to love my spouse. Because if I don't love myself enough, how can I give him the love that he deserves if I'm not loving myself? The other advice would be allow my husband to create an environment for me to flourish. Right? Because sometimes we push that away.
So what do you mean by
right?
that? What do you mean by that?
Meaning that in terms of don't, like, for example, my husband would always try to build me up and to put me in situations to be able to do my music, right? Because I'm a singer. And I would always fight that. He would always create the perfect environment for me to do that. And I'd shy away from that. But we should not push that away.
Let your spouse love you.
Yes, exactly. 100%. And the last things are understand that love is when two people don't expect each other to be perfect, but instead see each other perfectly. Very important, right? Because none of us are perfect, right? But as long as we see each other perfectly, then we can work through whatever. The last would be what you do is more important than what you say. Show me, show him, right? Love keeps no record of wrong. 1 Corinthians 13 speaks of those things. Love is kind, love is patient, love is 1 Corinthians 13
Yeah.
over
That's good.
and over
That's
and
good.
over again. And the most important thing is love keeps no record of wrongs.
Wrongs. Yeah.
That's good.
So good. I love one of the most beautiful things about marriage is when you were talking, Diane, about, my husband sees something in me and wants to do that, is our spouse has been given to us and they see things in us and are able to draw things out that we don't even see
That's
in
so
ourselves
good.
and bring us closer
That
to
is
what the
so
Lord
good.
wants us to do.
And
know
we
Dan's
fight
been the
it.
same way.
Yes,
Yeah.
we fight it.
And we should never be ashamed of who we are and the giftings that we have. We should
it.
take hold of them.
Right.
And thank our husbands for creating those spaces, because we create space for them.
I was about to say, because we always push them out front and we want to
Yes.
be in the back, but they want us up front.
Yeah.
So,
That is so good. Okay, so we were married. You were married June 7th.
Yes.
We were married July 7th. July 7th, 1984.
wow.
So 38 years. And if I could go back and talk to my 20-year-old self, my
Can you
young
believe we got married when we were 20?
my
I just-
baby self.
What did we know then?
Nothing.
Well, it's funny. So after we'd been married about a year, someone asked Ron, "So you've been married a year now. What's the thing that you learned the most, in this 1 year of marriage?" And he said, I'll never forget what he said. "I learned how emotional women are." So that would be my number one.
story.
Is don't be so emotional. Don't be so sensitive. Like just relax. Just take a breath. Just don't take everything so sensitively,
Right.
because sometimes he's saying things that he doesn't mean. It's just it's fun. It's in fun, or it's maybe not appropriate, but it's not bad. It's just just roll with it.
Yeah.
Don't take it so personally, which I'm sure I did lots of back in the day. It's so funny. I made a list too, and I let Ron read my list the other day, and he said, "Yeah." Yeah. I was like, okay, you don't have to agree with every single one, okay? But he did agree with every single one. Cut him some slack, because he's learning too.
That's good.
He was 21, I was 20 when we got married. We were learning together how to be married, how to live together, how to join two lives together. We were still in university. We had lots on the go. And, just cut him some slack. What else? Oh, don't expect him to know your needs.
Yes.
So many times we think, well, if he really,
That's
They
good.
think
if
they
he
can
loves
read our minds.
me
Yeah.
and he knows me like he should, then I shouldn't have to tell him what I need. He should just know what I need.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's
so
a
good. I'm
good
still
one.
learning
But
that.
you know what? I think we're all still learning that, because we live in such a romantic world that the romantic movies and romantic novels all tell us that he looked across the room and knew what she needed. She needed him to walk over. And no, he doesn't. He's just thinking, what does she need right now?
I hope
And
I
He
got
knows
it
what
right.
he needs. Yes.
And so, just let him know what you need.
That's good.
Swallow your pride.
Yeah.
And say, listen, honey, I know we're learning together how to do this.
Right.
And this is what I need in this moment. When we do this, we still have these moments, Ron and I, where I'll say to him, okay, honey, when we were with other people and we said this and that, what I needed you to do at that moment was this.
Right.
And he said, really? I said, yeah. I said, oh, okay, thank you for telling me.
That's
because you're
good.
just building. You're building something, a future that you want to be strong moving forward.
That's good.
And that's so much easier for the guys too, right? We're handing it to them on a silver platter. They want that.
And Danielle, this relates to something you said in a previous episode. Don't overthink. I can attribute motives to Ron. Well, he did that because he's thinking this.
Right. Yeah.
And he's thinking that because of this.
Right.
And I got him down this rabbit trail that he doesn't have any idea what that's
Exactly,
about.
right?
And
He
it's
wasn't thinking anything.
No. So don't overthink. Just, kind of, again, dial it down. Relax.
Yeah.
What else? You know what else? I was thinking about you guys, because you guys have been through so much. Like you said, Kara, in the last 8 years, you've been through a lot. That I would say to my younger self, I never would have dreamed I would go through breast cancer. It wasn't in my family. It's not part of my history. I would say to my younger self, you're going to go through some pretty serious stuff. But if you lean into God and you lean into each other like never before, you'll get through it. You'll be okay. It might not feel like it in the moment,
Right.
but it's a temporary thing that you're walking through, and you have to see the bigger picture and see down the road, and you'll be fine, you know, just to get through it together. And I know you guys have done that, and I know we've all been through things, serious things, that we've had to really lean into our spouse for.
Yeah.
So
And I think it's during those times that you realize like what brought you together and what makes you great as a couple.
Yeah.
Because Eric, if you know him, is a huge jokester. He's hilarious. And I am more serious, and I just need his humor. And I really leaned into that during so many seasons because it's what makes him great. And so
Beautiful.
this is so good, girls.
Yes,
Thank you for sharing from your lives. This is just really good. And thank you for being with us. Don't go anywhere. There's more Better Us to come. Kids live under a lot of stress right now too. But if they see their parents kind of having fun together, enjoying each other, laughing at something together, it helps the kids to think, okay, life is good. It might be hard, but it's good. It's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. Hey friends, Ron and Ann here. We're so glad you're with us at A Better Us, and we pray your marriage is blessed as you take this in.
Be sure and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and enjoy this video.
All right, so Ted, whenever we get together, we laugh a lot, and Leslie and I laugh a lot. I know you guys do on the home front as well, but there's some people that go, we need a little help. How do we bring more laughter into our lives as a couple? Do you have some suggestions on that?
Yeah, and you've heard this at events as well. It's easy for you to laugh as a couple because you're a comedian. And I always tell them, we don't wake up in the morning and start telling each other jokes. That's not how this works at all. I don't make Amy turn on a fog machine and go, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ted. That's not how this works. What we're doing is discovering and using our shared sense of humor. That's the key to more laughter. And the fastest way I know how to do that, and to help anybody, whether you got a great sense of humor or not, the best way to bring more laughter and the fast track to bringing laughter into your marriage is stop trying to be funny. Knock it off and start looking for it. This is how you discover your shared sense of humor. You look for it and then you call it out. That's the secret. And Les and Leslie, you have this down. I've read plenty of your books to know you do this on airplanes, you're people watchers.
And I always suggest to couples, study your spouse's funny bone, because not everybody has the same funny bone. What makes you laugh may not make somebody else laugh. Some people like the Three Stooges. Somebody might like, Woody Allen or something more cerebral. And so you got to study their funny bone. But what always cracks you? How do you do you have something you go to always make your wife laugh?
I'm always finding funny stuff in the grocery. Just recently, I was walking down an aisle and I saw a case of Coke, 15-pack of Coke, and third of the box said 15-pack, big letters, 15-pack, 3 cans more than a 12-pack. That's my sense of humor, right? That's your math teacher told you show your work. I'm like, Coca-Cola is now showing their work on the side of a box because nothing complained about the price of Coke. But that alone was enough for me to take that case. We weren't getting Coke that night, but I grabbed the case, walked 3 aisles over to show Amy. And it's one of those things, I didn't have to say anything. I showed it to her. She had this look on her face like, what are they doing? And we laughed, right? My wife has a silent patriotic laugh. When she finds something funny, she places her hand over her heart. She leans forward and nothing comes out. My goal is to get that at least once a day. I want to try to get, I don't always get it, but I wake up with that as one of my missions in life, is to get Amy to the silent patriotic laugh. The Coke case got a chuckle, maybe a little snort, but did not get a belly laugh. So you're not always going to get belly laugh. There's lots of different types of laughter, but whatever it is, your funny bone, shared sense of humor, look for it every day and call it out.
That's right. Well, and laughter is what helps us move forward, which is what Loveology is all about. Thanks so much.
Well, we're in the kitchen with our kitchen couples once again. We have Mike and Diane Clemens. And we have Eric and Kara Maines.
All right. Well, I particularly enjoyed this teaching segment because it's all about laughter. You know, we need more laughter in our lives, especially in our marriages, because, you know, you go through those hills and valleys, but you got to be able to laugh, especially laugh at yourself at times. But, yeah.
You know, it's part of it, I think, is caring enough, you know, in your relationship with your spouse to even want to make them laugh. You know, you say, I value our relationship that I want to make you laugh. I want to do something or say something or call something out, as they were saying in that clip that you see, and just.
I love when they were talking about your own individual sense of humor. So this, I mean, Eric and Kara, Eric's our son, and I mean, you know, you guys know us so well. So we were watching, you know, the new Lord of the Rings remake show that's been on TV. So it's, I don't know, an 8-part series or whatever. So we were watching it the other night, and it was getting late, and so we said, okay, we'll finish watching. We'll watch another episode another night. So we come upstairs, and I'm just finishing up loading the dishwasher, and I said to Ron, I think Charlie needs to be let out. And so while I'm loading the dishwasher, this is what he said.
Well, I tend to copy voices of something we just watched on television or something.
All the time. Okay.
And so, you know, there was these orcs with these strange voices. And so I said, the little one must be cast out into the darkness in order to fulfill his destiny. You know, and just to let the dog outside. It's
out of nowhere, this comes out of it.
Orakai right there.
But I thought, I bet that would make her laugh. Anyway, and it worked.
But
amazingly.
That's our sense of humor, because I know him and I know how much he enjoys doing voices and things like that. But I don't know, you guys.
Yeah, we're talking about laughter, and it came to my mind. There's kind of a viral video going around right now from a French talk show where they brought in a bunch of people from the community that have like really weird laughs, and so they put them all on the stage, and they made like they said a few funny things and made one of them laugh, but once one of them goes, they all start laughing at that funny laugh, and like one of them was like, and like, but then people start, and they knew beforehand, they started like holding pictures up behind that person of what animal they sound like, and one of them was like a chicken, and the woman's like. Like, it's so funny. Like, you should look it up.
Laughing.
Yeah,
laughing. It's
laughing.
just it's a healing thing.
But watching that together, though, then you're laughing together.
That's right, and actually that's one of ours, is sending funny videos back and forth. And also Kara has this precious quality that of hers, that when like I'm eating, she'll just reach her hand out and stop the fork from getting to my mouth, and I'll be like, I'm trying, but then sometimes she'll feel I'm putting resistance because I want to get the fork there, let go, and then and you know what? It makes her laugh. And so, like me, not so much. No, especially if I'm hangry at the time. But she's just tickled by it. And so I.
You know what they say? Laughter is good for the soul, and it's also good for your marriage.
Yes.
Even at the cost of your shirts or your
it's endearing.
It's been said the most wasted day is one in which you haven't laughed.
Yes.
And
Proverbs 17:22. I know you just mentioned a scripture as well, Kara, but Proverbs 17:22 says, "A merry heart really does a spirit, soul, and body good like medicine."
Yeah.
Right? And it really does. I didn't mean to cut you off, but you continue.
No, that's all good, because I'm going to talk about your favorite person. Yes. We are not innately funny ourselves, right? And
I think we are, but okay.
But we are able to create these moments of laughter, but we're kind of quirky in that whole stance. But we have a buddy named Daryl Mookie Mitchell, and when we need to laugh, we just call him. Yes.
Everything he says is funny.
Everything he says is funny, and so if you need an assist, right? If it's not your strength, right? It's especially today. Now we can put him right on FaceTime, right? And
let's put Daryl's phone number on the screen right now. So whenever you need it, just call Mookie.
He won't be laughing at that, I don't think.
Oh, he'll get a good laugh out of it. And he'll answer most times.
But just think, I was thinking how it elevates the atmosphere of your home when the parents can find laughter and fun and joy in things. Because kids, kids live under a lot of stress right now too. But if they see their parents kind of having fun together, enjoying each other, laughing at something together, it helps the kids to think, okay, life is good. It might be hard, but it's good. It's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay.
And I like what he had to say about discovering your shared sense of humor. So there are things that Eric thinks is funny and I do not. And there are things I think that are funny and he doesn't. But when you find those things that you can laugh at together, I feel like there's a connection there.
It's that
like
sweet
you
spot.
feel like you're brought together. Like, yes, we're on the same page. And so it's a beautiful thing when your kids can sense that connectedness and
the
sense of
joy
humor.
that it brings, and there's joy in your house. Come on, there's
That's
strength
right.
for that.
That's right. Our kids laugh at us all the time because they think we're just.
So funny.
They're like, man, you guys are not really funny, but you're funny.
That's right. There's the fine line of at or with. You're laughing with me or you're laughing at me. But regardless, you're laughing. And that's really good medicine. That's really good medicine.
Even the corny dad jokes, the kids really like it. They'll say it's corny, they'll roll their eyes, but they're enjoying it.
They're still laughing. Yeah, that might be more of the at. But
Well, now our kids are parents themselves, and they're coming up with their own dad jokes.
Come on, it's natural.
It is.
I'm a father, so these jokes are coming to my mind.
Exactly.
Okay, well, this has been a fun one, guys. Thanks.
Hope you've enjoyed it too. So stay with us because there is more to come.
Missed an episode of A Better Us? No problem. Visit abetterus.tv and click watch, where you can enjoy past episodes and even share them with your friends. Each episode is packed with practical advice to help you and your relationship become a better us. While you're there, click subscribe to receive your free weekly Marriage Moment email. Also like us on Facebook to receive program previews, news about upcoming events, and inspirational quotes. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
We're at the end of another show, and I loved this one.
What would you say to your newlywed self? A great question. What have you learned about marriage, about yourself, that you wish you would have known years ago?
And you know what? What I like about that question is that the answer doesn't have to be a negative. Compliment each other more. Say you're sorry first. Let the small stuff slide. Those are some of ours. And I bet you could come up with lots of advice in your marriage too.
It's a great conversation starter, isn't it? And the point is not to dredge up a bad past, but to look for ways to make a better future.
I like that. And it creates such a refreshing atmosphere in your home, a place where, as Ted Cunningham encouraged, you actually laugh more.
And laughing together is important, isn't it? But we all know that even in the middle of the good, life happens and stress builds, and sometimes, you know what, you just need some prayer.
And you know what, our prayer line is on the screen and it's there for you. And it will connect you with a loving person who would love to pray with you about whatever it is you're going through. It's available 24 hours a day.
Well, thanks again for joining us. And remember, with God, there is always hope to become a better us. Hey friends, we really hope you're enjoying the marriage conversations here with A Better Us on our YouTube channel.
We have hundreds of more helpful marriage videos designed to give you hope and tools to make your marriage better.
And you can see just a few options we think you might like here and here.
Enjoy! Oh, and make sure you subscribe by clicking here so you don't miss out on all the great marriage help we have coming your way soon.